still haven't found what I'm looking for. I have kissed 100 lips, felt the healing of her fingertips. It burned like fire, this burning desire. I have spoke with the tongue of an angel. I have held the hand of the devil. It was warm in the night. I was cold like a stone, but I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Yeah, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, yeah. No, no, no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Hey, oh no. I believe when the kingdom comes, then all the colors will bleed into one, will bleed into one. Yes, I'm still coming. I'm gonna own money, and you lose all the chains that carry the cross. My shame, oh my shame. You know I believe it, but I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Yeah, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Yeah, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Yeah, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Hey, yeah.
All right, so we're going to go right into it. First, I'm going to start with a piece. It's called The Butterfly Effect, which will lead right into purpose. And then I'll give all my, hey, good evening, how y'all doing, a little more deeper, all right? Y'all ready? Yeah. Okay, who knows what a butterfly effect is? And if you don't know, just take a guess. Butterfly effect, anybody ever heard of it? There's even a movie named after this. That's right, a small action can have a ripple effect. So they'll say if the butterfly's wings flaps here in Canada, there can be a tsunami in Thailand, right? So it is a theory, it is a concept, but we've seen that in our lives, and that's what we're gonna talk about. From I was young, I was told I would shine like the sun, using my gift of dropping tongues. Instead of positive guidance and funds, I was offered to speak lyrics with a gun. As I hold the weight, I search for self. I used to express my mind with graphite, sketching my thoughts out in my pad the whole night. I want to show the world my skills, so my choice of canvas is a church wall or Metro's windowsill. I hold this can and I search for expression. Moving to the beat, body in motion, I dance so vigorous my blood flow changed direction. I sit here, sweating, on a cardboard box, inhaling, exhaling with no audience. Inhaling, exhaling. I express the tempo with my body and search for my identity. My ear for music is always in tune. I tickle the ivories and pluck strings. Soon words intertwine with notes that floats on deaf ears. In a basement, rapping with friends who are afloat but are drowning in tears. I scribble words on paper and search for an answer. There are several scenes, which I have played different parts. Like my life, my roles is unpredictable from the start. Lights, camera, action, blue and red lights flashing. Instead of a photo shoot, it's a mugshot. Scene one, it's crime one, cut. After the scenes pass in my mind, I search the credits for my name. I was taught that my mind is the heaviest ammunition, and that the highest caliber of sight is my spiritual intuition, which tells me this is not the life for me. But every time I ask for a hand, it's bitten ones that are feeding me. Even though I was a wreck, they gave me a mic, a platform, and respect. They show love, blessings they never neglect. I may get played, but they never press eject. I rewind in my mind the music of life. I search for love. I was once told by a mentor in the community that I can reach high with respect, trust, honesty. I went there to be an apprentice of these qualities, but the building eroded. My dreams corroded. Reflected from the bricks, the city did not believe in me. The foundation could not support me. In the rubble, I searched for purpose. So that's the effect of the butterfly. One flap. A chain of reaction and events from the beat of extending wingspan, two flaps. I know I was born to create, to revolutionize, but no one sees my life through my eyes. No one will ever see my true colors and intricate designs. But I know God gave me this gift to share. It's also a sense of healing to share with a congregation, a community, my schoolmates, three flaps. I'm forgetting how to fly, how to land softly. Problem solving is now unnecessary because the platform, the audience, and my sub-community, they just want respect, trust, and loyalty. And in return, my creativity. So in closing, I search to express myself and to find self. Most importantly, to find God through your embrace. God created us to be creators, not imitators. For now, I emulate what society gives me, an opportunity to be what I see. For now, I hold on to my audience's respect. I search for that audience. Who can make me? Who can help me make that effect? Thank you. So yes, that piece I wrote because working in the community for decades, there was usually that issue where kids just needed a space to feel safe. And that includes our school buildings, our after-school programs, whether you do sports. And as you see, the interface of our city changes constantly. Anybody ever drive down or you come off the bus, you're like, that building wasn't here, that wasn't here. Sometimes those same safe spaces or those familiar spaces that made you feel that you have a sense of belonging disappear. Sometimes that's our very homes. Sometimes the people we love. And I wrote that because even if we have the gifts and we don't have direction or people to support or to say, hey, I see something in you. I see that you can do this and you could do that. Sometimes we feel lost. Has anyone ever played that game? I know this was like more of a 90s thing, where we had this checklist and you would share, mostly girls. I don't know if y'all guys did this, but anyways. It was this little checklist and you're like, okay, so by age 20, I'm gonna accomplish this, right? And I remember by 27, I was gonna have 5 kids in the big house and the white picket fence and a dog and a cat. Like I was so clear of my purpose / future. But then I realized, was that my purpose or was that a checklist? Was that a visual that I told myself based on what I saw? There was no social media then. Our media was TV. So the tube or the magazines, I was like, yeah, 27. And it's interesting, I hear young people right now who say these things out loud, even up to the age of 30 and 35 and 40 and 45, and no longer young, saying, I'm not where I want to be. When 17-year-olds are saying certain words that I will not repeat about their lives and they wish it didn't exist, y'all can guess, right? Where they want to erase, like, why am I even here? I don't even have my driver's license, is what my 21-year-old daughter is saying. I'm like, B, I got mine at 27. Yeah, Mom, but that's different. What does that say about what we believe we're supposed to be doing? That we're in control, that there's a timeline, that we believe to be successful is what true purpose is when there's something else for our lives. So on that note, good evening, everyone. We're diving into a topic that a lot of us think about, which is the big question. What the earth am I here for? Why am I on earth? What's my purpose, right? And it's not just a question for adults. It's a crucial for us even as whether you're a teen. I know kids, if you think about it, what's the first question people ask you in kindergarten? You're 5 years old. What do they ask? What do you want to be? Isn't that crazy? And then we think this is an adult decision, but you are forced to think of that on the first day of school. So what do you want to be when you grow up? And we say, I want to be a fireman. I want to be a policeman. It's always these jobs that are very, basic. But by grade 5, and I've done this survey with kids all the time, they'll be like, I'm going to be a gamer. It's very different in our day. There was no gamer, YouTuber. Everybody wants to be a gamer, YouTuber.
I found mine early, like even before I was committed to Christ, helping people sick, they help with the sick. I've been in medicine 45 years, and although I was not rich by any standard, I'm not a doctor, I'm a nurse's aide and a medical secretary. Not rich at all. Matter of fact, I had a very hard life financially, but I had a purpose. I never dreaded getting up to go to work in the morning. I found where I fit in at 21 years old.
Wow. Wow, and that's huge. I love how you said it because it's something that I had to shift. Like I wasn't rich. I struggled. But was she rich?
Yes. In many ways you can't count.
Or would you even say, you would rephrase, she was very wealthy in her mindset. In helping others, I know this for a fact, my whole career, I've never flipped a burger, never did retail. My whole career was in gerontology, working with elderly and working with kids and teens, and then young adults, then adults. That's all I've ever done. And even though I've had moments of being burnt out, because I didn't know how to do self-care and take the time, I knew that my purpose was to, thank you, was to help kids. Oh, can we keep this on the stand? Can you help me do that? Keep the mic on here? Yeah. I appreciate it. I love my voice in this one. What do y'all think? It's not different, don't it? I don't know about that mic.
The base is gone.
Keep it old school. So we know that our purpose is more than a career and a job, right? Thank you so much. Give it up for the sound tech team. I mean, this is what is up. We know it's more than all these things, but it's about uncovering who God created us to be. But how do we know that? Here are some things I'm going to guide you. These are 4 letters. It's an acronym called, don't do that. It's called TAGS, TAGS. Our talents, our abilities, our gifts, and our skills. They're all very different, but I'm sure you've never heard that in school. You just know, oh, you're good at math. They put it by subjects. And then if you felt that you weren't good at math, just that one subject, you were a failure. Oh, I can't do my times table. My friends knows this. I'm not good at, what do you call it, geometry or whatever it might be. I remember not wanting to do a certain career when the guidance counselor told me, oh, you want to be an architect? Oh, no, no, no. You're not good at math. Oh, I still want to do it. You need calculus. It was like a horror story. I was like, oh, I can barely do fractions. And that was it. A decision was made off of a comment, off of feedback, off of an assumption. How often are we looking for our purpose based on what people have told us or what the world is doing? Well, I heard the money's in engineering. Oh, I heard I need to go be a computer tech. That was a 90s boom. People were like, let me just be in computers. What is your purpose beyond a job and career? I'm going to ask you to light up for the ikigai. I love saying it, ikigai. So you guys ever heard of raison d'être, right? Our reason for being. So when you look at the ikigai, it says, what do you love doing, right? What are you good at? And this is the things that, people tell you to think about. And especially when, as an entrepreneur, this is when I actually heard somebody says, what do you want when you wake up? What will you do even if you didn't get paid for it? And I was like, ooh, that changed, shifted my mindset. What would I do for free 99 all day, every day, 24/7, don't need rest up, and I'll be like, let's go. And if you hear athletes and musicians or people who follow their dreams, they're like, I don't care. I will live in my car to become the actor I'm meant to be. There was that conviction. It's so funny for those of you who say you have faith and we lean on, not on our understanding, we lean on God, we're still doing the eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, I'm going to do this. If I don't do that, we're doing the math. But the math still ain't mathing because you said you're in the job and you're like, this is not it. I just went through that program. I changed to another program. And now I'm in my job. Or I'm leaving high school. What do I want to do? And that is what our life has become. On your marks, get set. Grade 10, right? Grade 11, go. And you're like, my parents is the one who put me in ballet and soccer and told me what school I'm going to. And now you have to make that decision. How wild is that? So the beauty of ikigai is they put this, we always love our Venn diagrams, right? You have these circle, and the Japanese concept of our purpose in life is what I love, what the world needs, what I can be paid for, and what I'm good at. And then it connects these things into passion, mission, profession, vocation. Fact is, it'll be hard to get all of them, but sometimes you do. Or it means I have my career, right? Or my job. I've heard people call the job J-O-B, just over broke. You're just a little over broke, right? And you're just going every day and you're Monday, like, oh, I don't want to go to work. But then people have their passion projects. That's what got me through my career. I had my hustle on the side. I was a poet on the side. I was so busy that I didn't really let that stress me. But then times like the pandemic revealed to people they weren't happy with their job or when they go through a personal crisis in their lives. So, what are you good at? What do you love to do? What does the world need? But more than that, if I was to redesign this ikigai, what is God's calling on my life? What is God's purpose for me? So feel free to take a picture. You can Google it yourself. I found the 2-page diagram, but look it up. It's really fun to think about it. And sometimes it's a little challenging because you get stumped because you were taught, what are you going to be when you grow up? But do you realize nobody's ever asked you, what are you going to do when you grow up? They said be. That's the key word. That is not a profession. Who do you choose to be? A helper, a healer, and being empathic to others, being a compassionate individual, showing up for others, being kind, right? I'm a person that is going to advocate for others. Who are you going to be? And I believe that's not a question that you ask once. You graduate, you have your certificate. How many of you guys graduated from a school or a program and you're not there anymore? You're doing something else? Right. There's no jobs, especially in Montreal. There was an era where we would all be looking for jobs during college, during the summer, and everything that was available was telemarketing, and telemarketing. It's pretty wild, right? I mean, just downtown, I worked at one of these places, and that was always available for us, and it was high turnover. But I knew I loved working with kids. I knew I loved advocating. So let's start with a powerful quote from Picasso. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. This resonates deeply with what God says in his word and what we will explore today, uncovering your true self. So as we know, our journey begins with discovering who we are, and often we look at what others are doing. What do we call that? The comparison trap, right? And if you've never heard of that, just think about it. How many times have you heard a friend say, I'm coming off of socials because everybody's doing the big things and I'm not living my best life? And I've even seen comments under I'm traveling, all of our traveling pics. I'm in the mountains, somebody's like, oh my gosh, I'm like so jealous. I'm living vicariously through you. You're living your life like it's golden. And I'm like, you have no idea if I even paid this trip off, but okay. Because I made the decision to do purpose now, which was to live. How did I get here? Burnout, which I'll talk about in a segment of peace. I had to get the rug pulled from under me. So we look at what others are doing and what society tells us we should be, but our true identity, our purpose, is found in when we look to God. Jeremiah 1 verse 5 says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. God has uniquely designed each and every one of us with specific gifts, talents, abilities, right? Skills. And our job is to uncover these gifts and use them to serve others. So I'm going to keep pointing to you because you gave the perfect answer. So sometimes we're like, you know what? I'm only this. And you heard it. It's natural. I'm not a doctor. I'm not the anesthesia. I'm just a nurse's aide. How often have we only said, I'm only and I'm just? I would tell the secretaries in the schools, I'm like, man, you do have an amazing job. I don't know how you do it. I'm telling you right now, I could not do a secretary's job at a school because they're the face of everything. The complaints of teachers, the complaints of kids, all the sick kids, they become the nurse, they become the doctor, they become the fireman. They're everything. First responders, they are all the above, right? And they're like, oh, no, I'm just the secretary. Anybody ever been to a place where the secretary is absent? Right. It's not functioning. And you see somebody trying to replace, sometimes a teacher in a school, and I would witness this. I'm like, if only they knew. Especially when there's a new secretary, we'll be like, hey, I know you're sick. Are you coming back? Please? We're not getting paid. Things are not going through, right? So we need to stop saying the just because we are where we need to be. And it makes me think of that lovely word that I came about in Hebrew. We all learn the word humility, especially in a Caribbean home. We've been told, humble yourself, small up yourself, don't big up, don't expand your chest like, you know what I mean? Just, right? And I would always just think that's what the term meant. And the Greek definition, that's what it does mean. Like basically know your place, know your role. But in Hebrew, anava, it means taking up your God-given space, the opportunity to be all that you are meant to be. It doesn't mean that I'm higher than you or lower than. And this is what society, especially on social media, for those of us who are scrolling, oh my gosh, I wish I had that house. This Airbnb is nice. This is why I came off of Pinterest, because I would be pinning stuff. I'm like, look at that house. And it was always this comparison of one day I wish when I get money. I was like, let me come off this platform because the amount of screenshots on my phone was like, you're not even doing half of these recipes. It doesn't look like you're moving the house. Let it go, right? And we do that a lot. Oh, I wish I had parents that would do this. And my daughter sometimes comes back and says, Mom, I'm glad you put me into sports, into music. She'd be like, I don't want to do this. But she realized how now these things have benefited her. So let's not compare and not feel that we are missing out, right? So like Picasso says, we find our gift first, and our purpose becomes giving that gift away. So Christ says, follow my example. What does that mean? Can anybody tell me what that means? We're struggling here, and we're going to be like, follow your example. Imagine your parents telling you that, or somebody at church. Oh, you want to find your purpose? Follow Christ. What does that mean? Let's be real. That's kind of like, really? I need an answer. Huh? So what does emulating his character mean when it comes to finding his purpose? Be loving, be kind, be patient, be compassionate, be caring. When you look at those attributes, that is when you get to know who you are. So for me, I was definitely a naturally protector from when I was a kid. I hated seeing kids get bullied in the schoolyard. I'm talking about not as a worker, as a student. I said, who bothering you? You. I'm telling on the teacher. And I'm still that person how many decades later? looking out for others, being the protector, being the guardian. You will not mess. I'm about that principle. It was innate. It was in me from very, very, very young. So, does that mean there's nothing else that God has planned for me? Is there a purpose that sometimes you're like, I am not set up for this? This is not innate. Well, as Tisha knows me very well, God has been putting a lot of those pivots. During the pandemic, we heard a lot of people talking about the pivot or the pause. There was this chaos. The world stood still. And some people are like, I just needed to pause. And I love the pause. And other people was like, bet, quit my job, move to the country, open up a shop. People started a business. People spent more time with family. And people had that reality check, like, this is what really matters. Finding my purpose, making sure I find peace and joy, and spending time with loved ones. It wasn't the guap. It wasn't the money. It wasn't the pesos. Some people were just buying stuff on Amazon, but really it was just about making themselves happy, right? It wasn't about those things that they thought that mattered. So just know that we know that God has a special plan, and if you didn't know, for those who are online, God has a special plan for each and every one of us. So seek to become who he created us to be. He has given us personality and gifts for a specific reason. Ask God to make it clear what his purposes are for you. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Ephesians 2, verse 10. So here's a thought. God made us unique because of the purpose he had in mind. So looking at that uniqueness, I challenge you. You ever ask a friend, what do you think I'm good at? Never? Never? Your parents? Wow, I'm going to challenge everyone and those who are viewing. Ask the people closest to you, what do you think I'm good at? I'm a life coach as well. I've asked people to ask 20 people, and guess what? It's the most daunting task. 20 people? I don't want to ask them that question. I didn't want to do 3. But as I started the email, what do you think I'm good at? I had 3, 4. I end up with 20 people. I say, get 20 people. And the answers, I was in tears by response number 6. Because people saw me better than I saw myself. And guess what? It already aligned with the things I was on. You're a very creative, compassionate communicator. Creative, compassion, communicator. It was like LinkedIn. If anybody's on LinkedIn, they rank you. But I'm like, why would they see that? That's so weird. I never told them that. And they're ranking me on skill sets that's nowhere on LinkedIn. But people who know you. Oh, Letitia, she's really great. She's really helpful. Oh, she's very kind. You want that person to get you networking contacts? Speak to her. You want that person's going to find you the awesome space to do really great events? Speak to Jason, right? Hey. And that is what's amazing. People see, and believe it or not, I was like, who's going to take their time out of the day to share this with me? I even shared it with old bosses. And what I saw could have made a whole new resume because I didn't see that, right? I'm very good at seeing everything and everybody else, right? We all do it. You're good at helping people with their problems, but yourself, because I can tell you, I help everyone with interviews. I help everyone with finding what they need. But when it comes to me writing a resume, what are you good at? It's cringe. I'm like, I'm on time? You're not even aware. And that's pretty wild. So here we're going to close. We need to trust God at all times. Just like the disciples, we think that our lives should smooth sailing and it should be very clear. We shouldn't see the fog. We shouldn't be in a rocky boat. But Jesus brings us through it all. If God is for us, who can be against us? So what does that mean? We need to trust God completely, that he knows what he's doing. And when I look back, college, program, where I was going to live, I never prayed about it. I never was like, okay, I love NDG. I really love it because, open space. Well, I'm moving to LaSalle now because it's just more safe. I never prayed about it. I prayed about everything else because we were taught, dear Jesus, I wake up, I'm alive. Thank you for the sunshine. I'm breathing. But when it comes to decision making, it was only when I was in a bind, only when I was in trouble, only when I was in the hole and there was nowhere else, no friend, no person to go, did I seek God's face. And I'm challenging when it comes to your purpose, when it comes to your life, when it comes to what you think you're supposed to be doing, seek God's face. So living with purpose and action starts with thinking about what requires the action. James 2:17 tells us, faith by itself, it does not have works, it's dead. If you want to see your purpose come to life, You have to take steps towards it. Set goals. Imagine aiming at the most amazing year of your life. What would it take? Write down your dreams and then take them to God in prayer, because Proverbs 16:9 says, "The heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps." God has a plan for your life, but he wants you to partner with him to make it happen. So, if y'all remember this, I would love if you could write down those goals tonight, maybe on a slow Sunday. Write down those goals, because they say where there's no vision, we perish. I don't know if you've ever heard that. When you have no vision, you just follow friends. I had a vision. I was hanging around with a bad crowd and all these things, but I knew, I was like, nah, I'm going to school. I'm breaking cycles. I'm sorry, y'all can hang out late because I got a class. But I had a vision. I had some form of direction because I already knew I wanted to work with kids. That meant I had to go to school. So once you look at that, just know there's power in not quitting, because sometimes we have the direction and then it gets hard, gets rocky road and a little bumpy, and we're like, I'm not cut out for this. Sometimes I'll be like, this is not my ministry, God. I'm over it. Find me something else. But we need to take our time. So yes, there's pain with discipline, but would you rather experience the hard now, keep pushing forward? Because remember, that commitment pays off. And more than anything, when it comes to our purpose, remember, even God, if you didn't know this, even God rested. That's where I burnt out. I just kept going and going and going with my purpose. I did not know how to say no to a job. It fit my schedule. I showed up. I worked for, 3 community organizations, full-time Concordia, and I was working with 2 jobs on call. Don't ask how it happened, but I did. And I still had a social life, hanging out at a studio till 3 in the morning, go to sleep for 3 hours and wake up and show up to school, and then literally hide and slide in that the principal wouldn't see that I got into the building late. I did it for years, until one day, MRI machine, burnout, totally just configuring everything in my body. And everything was a panic, every sound, every response. Was that my purpose, to be ill, to be sick? No, I went on the whole other end. So rest isn't about just taking a break, it's about recharging. And if you're running without rest or burning 2 ends of the candle, we know that we'll burn out. So take time to enjoy life, relax, refresh your mind and spirit, and we will be more effective in living out our very purpose. When you're rested, you're recharged. So what is your purpose? It's not something distant or unreachable or not attainable. It's about uncovering your true self, trusting God in the storms, taking action towards your goals, and staying committed. So let's go out and live with purpose, knowing that God has a plan for each and every one of us. He has given you gifts, talents, skills, and abilities, and your purpose is to give them away. Trust him, take action, and never give up. This is how we need to live our everyday. Thank you.
When I look into your eyes, it's like watching the night sky or a beautiful sunrise. I hope they hold just like them old stars. I see that you've come so far to be right where you are. How old is your soul? do some navigating. I'll be here patiently waiting to see what you find. 'Cause even the stars, they learn. Some people thought through the earth. Now we got a lot to learn. God knows we're worth it. No, I won't give up. I don't wanna be someone who walks away so easily to stay and make the big difference that I can make. Our differences, they do a lot to touch, to use the tools and gifts. Yeah, we got a lot to stay. And in the end, you're still my friend. At least we didn't intend for us to work, we didn't burn. We had to learn how to bend without the world caving in. I had to learn what I've got, what I'm not, and who I am. Now I won't give up on us, even if the skies get rough. I'm giving you all my love. I'm still looking up. No, I won't give up on us. And God knows I'm tough enough. We've got a lot to learn. God knows we're worth it. No, I won't give up on us, even if the sky gets rough. I'm giving you all my love. I'm still looking up. No, I won't give up on us, even if the skies gets rough. Giving you all my love. I'm still looking up. Hey.
I had this artist dark vibe. You know, I'm an artist too. I'm just saying, with a purple light. All right. So this topic, as you see, is a better purpose and a better peace. And I want to call it a divine blueprint because I feel if we would focus on what God's blueprint is for us, would follow through, right? If you have a cheat code, and we gamers in here, anything where you're like, when you have an assignment, you're asking the teacher, what do I need to do? We want that listed. So I'm going to ask if the selectors can go to the 7 F's right here. That was part of a divine purpose. It's one of the things that have really helped me, not just in visualizing like or focusing on what I need to in life, because the 7 F's is based off a concept of how we can create balance. But I try not to use the word balance because let's be real, there's no such thing. Once you're focusing heavy on 2, 3 areas, something always, you to drop the ball, right? You're doing your studies, sometimes your diet, your nutrition goes out the window, right? People are drinking, what do you call those, energy drinks, and I'm drinking coffee. So what I like to use is the word harmony. How can I make sure I'm touching in different areas? At a certain time, there's a certain season, you know what? I'm not gonna focus too much on my social life right now, friends. I'm gonna make sure I check in with my main family or do this, or I'm gonna serve at church, but I'm only gonna do this. Whatever that thing is. For you, it might be sports. I'm training, I'm showing up. So these 7 F's, what I love about it is finances, faith, family, fitness, future, friends, and there's definitely fun as well. This is an area as after the age of 17, 18, it goes out the window. Fun. It becomes the most challenging thing for many adults. It's the strangest thing. So I'm encouraging you. What does fun mean? Leisure. Knitting, crocheting, gaming, writing, right? And we're going to get into that for peace. So when it comes to purpose and peace, I want you to keep this wheel in your mind. There are many different ones online. Just look up the 7 F's, right? If you want any F-bombs in your life, these will be the most important right here. Remember what I said. I said it. I said what I said, right? 7 F's. What is my mission? How am I going to show up in my finances? Guess what? And for those who've never done this yet, maybe you have never even prayed. Maybe you know what prayer is. But again, because by design, society and culture and whatever has taught us, like, I'm going to pray for myself, pray for protection, pray for my mama, and it ends there. But imagine if every day you kept this wheel in your mind and said, God, help me in my relationships to be a better friend, to show up for my family, right? How am I going to show up for I want you to be there. Help me steward better, meaning help me to know what to do with these seeds we call money. How much do I save? Yes, society tells me I need to save 20% for myself, 10% for charity or those who go to church, whatever. But what do you want me to do in this season, on this day? When you look at businesses that succeed, they don't do, oh, this is the new year, this is my word, here we go. They are looking at their whole year quarterly. How will we succeed Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4? And us, we're like, man, I really didn't do good in 2023. How am I going to be different for this year? Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change because we're not really being intentional in our different areas. And when you see fitness, is where I like it, that's mental health. That's your emotions. That's the way you react. You know, your family comes and they're like, hey, how's everything? I'm fine, leave me alone. Or you slam the door. Let's be real. These are my confessions, right? We've all done it where we get irritated by those who love us and they're just checking in. And they're like, whoa, how can we show up better? When it comes to our purpose, what do I need to do in these areas that are going to lead towards my purpose? And how will I find peace in these areas? Thank you. Take a picture if you have to, I'm just saying. So, the next diagram we're going to look at is that's fine. You can go back to the verse. Let's keep it. You can go back to the verse, yes, and then we'll do the feeling wheel. So we were speaking about purpose and peace, and I think this verse bridges the both of them. And we mentioned a little bit before, but like God knows every hair on our head, right? Everything that we're meant to do. But here we are stressing about the what, the future. And I'll speak about why in my life I didn't have peace. I thought I did, but that's a whole nother conversation. For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plan to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. So who's the one that's really in charge of our purpose, right? Thank you. So I'm going to go right into, let's tapping into the emotion wheel, just to kind of ground and do a check-in, but it's also something I'd like for you guys to take in practice. So the emotion wheel is an amazing tool that I only learned about a couple years ago. For somebody who works with kids, we've done the emojis and the little faces. How do you feel? And we do what we call a temperature check because it's important for them to know if they're cool or hot or mad or sad or angry. And when I saw the emotion wheel, it's very small, and my apologies. I have another one that's my favorite. Email me and I'll send it to you because this one has a lot. But in the middle, it would usually just say mad, sad, happy, and I'm like, and scared. I'm like, what's crazy is all these other feelings and emotions, a lot of us don't even know how to say it as adults. We're still using the language that we used in kindergarten or grade 4. I'm mad, I'm sad. And people go, why? I don't know. I've been there many times. There's tears, but I don't know why I'm sad. But maybe it's melancholy, right? Think about the pandemic. What were the emotions that some of us went through with the lockdown? The first initial news. I'm an educator. I'll be totally frank with you. I was like, yes, school's out. Because I didn't know what this COVID was. You know, we thought it was a 1-week thing and we're going to go back. Nobody was dying yet. We're good. I was like, yes, I get a break. Extended vacay. Because March break, right? Right after March break. We're supposed to return and it was like flatline. What was your initial feelings? Who wants to share? Come on, keep it 100. Initial feelings, COVID. You're happy? You're an educator too? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? Not knowing what's around the bend. Excited. But I remember a lot of young people, when I worked, the teens that I worked with, they were happy at first. But when the lockdown kicked in, they couldn't play their sports. They couldn't hang at the mall. They couldn't see their friends. I heard kids crying, I can't go to McDonald's. The things that we took for granted. And when I saw the stillness around the world where animals were coming back out in places that they haven't seen in decades, the skies cleared in certain parts of Asia, pollution was less. It was just this balancing thing or reset. I don't know what was happening, but I know that I was like, okay, I have time to work on me. I wasn't really focused on what was happening in the world till I turned on the news. And then I saw those scary things. And I was fearful, and I took it back off because I knew those of y'all may be too young for that, but 9/11, when I saw what was happening on the news, I'm not a news watcher. I regret ever watching what was happening in the Twin Towers. Because the fear that I had no peace. I kept looking in the sky. I was living right near Snowden Metro and looking up. I'm like, what if they come for us next? Walking in fear. So in the pandemic, I knew I had to not watch the numbers and the death tolls. And I just stayed focused and I checked in. And I started thinking, what about the elderly? Who's there for them? What if they fall in their homes? And when family members didn't pick up and there was a lockdown and curfew, what were those feelings? Some people felt apathy. Some people were like, whatever. Some people felt this deep depression, right? Like I said, that melancholy. Some people felt, I'm just going to live my best life. And crossed the border before that lockdown and went to Mexico. And I saw them on social, like, I wish I was with you. Comparison trap, I have to admit it, right? So there's all these different emotions, like from happy can also be, I feel valued. I'm courageous, I'm creative. From surprise, it can be awe or astonish or delusion. Being surprised can be like, I'm dismayed. When you get this feeling language, you get to understand more about what's happening to you instead of I'm just mad, I don't know. And that's what this wheel has done. I encourage everybody to print it. I tell kids to put it in their lockers, put it in your front of your devotion. How am I feeling today? Or God, I would love to be able to connect here. Because some of us have been blocked from feeling certain emotions based off of our traumas, our experiences in our lives. So check out the emotion wheel. And I'm going to go right into this topic, which is finding peace in chaotic world. So this topic is close to my heart because I mentioned to you about burnout and feeling I was in cruise control in life, just doing what I got to do until the big bang happened in my life, right? So let's start by defining what peace is. When you think of peace, you think of what? What is peace? Calm, first word. Sorry? I heard another word. Lack of worry, that's right, right? Serenity, contentment, serenity, right? No conflict, a sense of everything being all right. And I remember growing up and hearing biblical peace is shalom. And I'd hear these words. I lived uptown in NDG. I was on the border, and it was a lot of Rabbinovich Jews, and they were like, shalom, shalom. And I'd hear at church. I had no idea what it meant. Till many years later, when I became etymologist, my junkie of words. And I'm reading, I'm like, wow, imagine just greeting people. Peace be with you. May you have peace today. We're just like, hey, what's up? Hello, bonjour. No, but imagine just really instilling that in your life, that I'm going to wake up with peace instead of saying, ugh, Monday, I hate Mondays. It's a mindset. So I had to know that it's deeper than just knowing what I know peace to be, which is just calm, but it's a wholeness and completeness and inner tranquility that comes knowing that God is in control, knowing that God is taking care of everything happening around me. I heard that, but I still didn't understand it. I want you to think about a time when you felt more peaceful and relaxed and calm. I will share one while you think. I'm a very scattered person, very talkative. Can you imagine me at 16? I'm now 46. I used to talk like this, all the time. I would just never rest. I'd never break. I'd sleep for 3 hours and I can go for 2 days straight. No rest. This was me. This was me. This was me. And the only time I was relaxed was when I was at a spa, an outdoor spa, or on a train ride. Not a plane, not a bus, 'cause my mind was still running, but a train did something. I don't know if it's the rhythm, but the long distance train ride, and I'd see the trees and the water and the butterflies. Like, I can actually speak slower. It changed everything, my whole disposition. My heart was not always like, it was, right? Changed my whole rhythm. And that's why I love traveling. Because when I came back, it was like, all right, I was like a robot. I was back on a mission. I did not know how to turn that switch off. Still a challenge today. Don't be fooled. For those under the age of 25, don't be fooled. It doesn't change when you get older. It takes discipline. Sometimes it takes a crisis and that reality check. Sometimes it takes a heart monitor and the doctor saying, if you continue like this, you'll be dead in 24 hours. I was told that. Perfectly healthy in my 20s, 24 years old. Numbness in my right side of my face, couldn't feel the left side of my leg. Came off my bed and it was pure pins and needles. And I was like, I'm having a stroke. And when they checked me, MRI machine and all, they're like, yep, so you're stressed. What? But I'm sure you've heard that number one killer is stress. Make it make sense. Stress mimics every disease that you know, right? A lot of these diseases that are out there that are taking out people, stress kills. And it felt, I'm telling you, I couldn't feel my chest. It felt like somebody was sitting on my chest all the time. And if I heard this at night, it sounded like a bomb to me. I had dry mouth. It felt like I was chewing cotton. I would see my fingers shaking. I'm like, oh my goodness, I became a hypochondriac. I thought I had MS. I'm going to go blind next. This is what happens when you're in your 20s. You think you know everything, right? Oh my goodness. And it was my friend who had to tell me, go to the hospital, stop being ridiculous. You have Medicare. And I'm like, I don't want to go. They're going to put me on a 6 months waiting list, and I won't know what's going to happen. And I was panicking even more. All because what? I chose chaos. I functioned well in chaos. I'm a kid of the system. I was in another home every day. I'm being shifted off, and I was like, whatever. And I just kept going, never taking the time to pause and reflect or to enjoy the moment. So maybe your moment of peace is a quiet morning, working hard after working hard. But the peace that God offers is even greater because it doesn't depend on your circumstances. And I'll tell you why I say that. Peace that stays with us even when things aren't going well. Does that even make sense? Having peace when things are chaotic? Well, it's hard for me to describe peace right off the dome, but for me, it's more when I am outdoors or I'm not creating a to-do list. I am a list creator. I call it my hit list. What am I going to hit today? Ugh, I'm a winner. And if I didn't get 3 things, I'm like, I'm a failure. Like, this thing is carrying it over to tomorrow. And this is what society has programmed us to do. And half those things on the list is not urgent. Probably 80% of the things is not urgent. But we're trying to play catch up. Who here is playing catch up? Yeah. And then you remember when those 27 years old, and then you become a homeowner, and then you become a homeowner, then a whole nother list. Then you have a car, whole nother list. Then you're like, oh, I want to find my husband of my dream in a relationship. That's a whole nother list. Kids, a whole nother list. So if you make your life about checklists and what you got to accomplish, you will feel like you're drowning. Peace is not the things that you get off your list feeling like you have victory. Peace is truly knowing who God is. So I knew very well how to function in chaos. I was a master at it. No matter what was happening in my home, no matter if I didn't even live anywhere when I was homeless, I was good. Like family, I was good. I was in that cruise control. And I'll tell you how, because you see, when I was told you got to go to that next home, and I was couch surfing or mattress surfing, you have to do this and that, I became a mom, and nothing would deter me or disappoint me in school. Nothing could derail me in any part of my life because I got this. Did you hear what I said? I got this. I was on high alert, anxious, overthinking, panicked. Then several family members, someone really close to me during the pandemic was in crisis. Actually, several were in crisis, but I was used to those people being in crisis. But not this person, not my child, not this one that I call precious. But all of this crisis would uproot the very faith that I thought I had. Or then again, I did have faith, but when I realized I had faith in me, which I was thinking it's God, like, yeah, man, I believe I'm praying, But I never asked God where I should go, when I should do certain things. And now, definitely in chaos, I didn't have that reflex to pray. I was falling. I don't know how many of you, when you're falling, you're able to say any proper words or thinking about praying. You're just like, don't break my head. Hope I don't die. Oh my goodness, this is embarrassing. All these different thoughts happen. So this is when I knew that all the unresolved stuff came bubbling up. Because I started crying and freaking out, and then I realized, wait, this is not just about my child. All the unresolved as a child start coming out. All the stuff that was buried deep and I avoided. It was as if the world I knew, even the regular organized chaos, because I lived in chaos, even the organized chaos was just a new realm, a level in a new game that I've never been. I wasn't prepared for it. Nobody gave me that cheat code. Nobody gave me the heads up or support. I was blindsided. I freaked out. I was depressed for the first time in my life, or aware of that depression. I didn't have peace. I didn't have faith. I had panic. And I've ever heard this thing as an entrepreneur when you go to these conferences, like, panic, no, purpose over panic. And I was like, oh yeah, it sounds great. I don't know what that means, but yeah, I want that. What does that even mean? What I do know is when I started to choose a word every year, I literally stopped doing resolutions many years ago, and I started choosing a word. But they were very what we call masculine, okay? It's like, I'm gonna be driven. I'm gonna be focused, right? I had all these words, and I was good. Tenacity. This is my word for 2019, whatever. But then that year, I was like, nah. The way I tripped in the end of 2019, I said, I need to be anchored. I was like, no, that's not it. Because even if I'm anchored, if something comes, it could be uprooted. I'm like, I need to be still. And then I was like, no, I need a word that's going to, even when there's chaos, because that's always going to be there, even when there's a storm, I can be at peace knowing that God has me. So God helped me to be anchored and grounded and to be still in trust. But if I'm uprooted, can I still be balanced? Every thesaurus, scripture, dictionary, the etymology.com, I found that word, equanimity. Evenness of mind, especially under stress, having the right disposition and balance, like an athlete, able to maintain that composure even when disappointed, right? I don't know about you, I watch track with the Olympics, and some of these people are like, oh man, good job, and they walk away. I'm like, nah, they just tripped me and you're gonna make me lose my medal. I think I would freak, but able to have that. And I always lean into this story because it happened in my mind. I was sitting in the bed crying, and I'm like, God, this is crazy. This is so much chaos. And literally, I visualized myself in the boat with Jesus and the other homies. Let's say all of you, all 12 of us, plus Tex, right? All of us are on the boat. And these people, if there's a storm, what are we going to do? I'm going to complain. You're like, right? Did you see the thunder and lightning? Man, that's crazy. We're about to drown. I know. And we're all panicking together. We're all going through the similar situation, and even if you don't understand, you might add to my stress, like, man, that's messed up. I don't know how you deal with it. And I would be panicking, and I can hear Jesus saying, yo, bruh, I'm here. I'm right here. Like, yeah, I know, but we're drowning. There's water coming in the boat. And he's like, I said, I'm here. I got you. And I'm still like, yeah, but I got you. And that's when I realized that my faith was fake. That my faith was made up. It was an illusion to say, well, because I pray and wake up every day and I pray to God, I am faithful. I was faithful in the control, in the strategy, in doing the chess moves. If I do this and do that, I'm prepared for that. And if that comes my way, I was doing that my whole life. Hence the anxiety. Anybody knows anything about depression or anxiety, they say those who are depressed are usually in the past. And those who are anxious are usually in the future. But the issue I had, the biggest issue, still struggling, y'all, 20 years later, is being present. Be still and know. Be here in the now. How can I do that, though? How can you do that? You're thinking, what program should I be? How can you be present when you think about your future? How can you be present when you're imagining your purpose? So it doesn't make me better than the depressed. I was like, oh, I've never been depressed. My mother has schizophrenia. My sister has mental health schizophrenia as well. I've seen it manifest in so many family members and friends. And depression, like, oh, why are you always talking about the past? Like my skin crawls. But I'm always in the future, though. You think it's better? I'm dealing with it differently. I may have the smile on my face and might show up and not be able to keep my feet on the ground, and I'm always somewhere else. And people turn around like, she was just here, where'd she go? But I'm missing out in a different way. Be still and know. So, during my crisis, I imagined being in that boat. And I said, this is messed up. This water is filling up. It's lightning. It's dark. And when I heard, I got you, I knew that peace, I never understood it. I knew that I didn't know peace and that I wanted to know peace in that moment. So the world's peace versus God's peace. And if I was to ask you, I'd say peace that surpasses all understanding. All these phrases that I don't even know what they mean, right? But the peace the world offers is based on circumstances. It's the kind of peace you feel when everything is going smoothly, when you're getting good grades, your friendships are going, solid, and you're feeling good about yourself. But what happens when life gets tough? When you face those challenges? When these obstacles keep coming up and these hurdles? I applied for the job, they're not calling back, and now they're saying I need to do this, and I submitted my application, and they're not answering, and I didn't get that license. Downward spiral. Peace to me was, you made me upset, you crossed the line, and you even violated me back in the days, and I'll just cut you off. Back in the days before virtual yearbooks, anybody still get hardcover? Yearbooks, we would go every year and we would cross with a Sharpie, a black marker, not my friend, not my friend. Or, for anybody, throwback, anybody ever had a rotary phone? Or the punch phone, right? People are calling and bothering you, what did you do? Take it off the hook. Beep, 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 beep. That sound was awful, but listen. You guys just have unfollow and block. It's not the same, right? But we just take it off the hook. That was peace. I don't want to hear this phone ringing in my ears anymore. But again, that's our control. That's us in the driver's seat. But what if God is saying, I need you to keep that phone on the hook at all costs, no matter what's happening? I can tell you even now, I'll be like, nah, God, it's annoying. I can't take it. I'm going to say something. I might say the wrong thing. He's like, no, keep it on the hook. Trust in me. Lean into my peace. So, feeling that we're in control of the situation. But that's exactly what Jesus spoke about, another type of peace. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Do not be afraid. This peace isn't based on what's happening around us. It's based on who God is. It's a peace that stays within us, around us, no matter what. So, true peace comes from the relationship with God. It's about trusting him, knowing that he's good, that he loves us, and that he has a plan for our lives. And if anybody's ever heard that text that says, do not be anxious, do not be afraid, do not be depressed, don't be solemn, don't be, complaining. I have witnesses here, so I can't say that I don't, because I'll be lying. But that spirit of complaining is real. On the job, at school, doesn't matter who it is, in traffic, right? But that takes my peace away, because I don't know if you've ever heard of the quote by Dr. Eric Thomas. He's a motivational speaker. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Oh, they like, yeah, right? Where your focus goes, your energy flows. And when I first heard that quote like 5 years ago, I was like, oof. And that's why, all right, I've had family members, even in my car, people know in my house and my car, they can't speak certain conversations. They'll be like, did you know this family? Not here. And that totally shifted my world, because I was that person, even if I didn't hear what you had to say and you complained, I would leave the phone open all the time. I'd even put it down like, they're still talking, and do stuff. But why? I'd say, I'm not able to have this conversation right now, I'll call you back. Because I started prioritizing my peace, my mindset. Even before coming here, somebody wanted to vent about something, I was like, absolutely not. I'm going to put that in my schedule like I do everything else. But we leave ourselves open and exposed for people to bring ammunition in our mind, to plant seeds of complaining, sadness, depression. It doesn't mean that you don't help people. But as a helper, I know you know it's reflexive. We want to do things right away. What? She's hungry? Phew. But if you had something at home, you're like, I'm hungry. I'll just have some, right? We will backburner ourselves as helpers to help others, to jump in position. And there's a saying that we had in the 90s, like, know your role, slow your roll and know your role, stay in your lane. What does that mean if God was saying that to me? Oh, trust me. When I start seeing things like that, God's like, no. I didn't tell you to go help that person. I need you to spend time with me right now, that you can know what your purpose is and you can know peace. So, when we guard our hearts, our minds, our bodies, our spirit, and I've added this, our space, you will live a different life. Guard the avenues. What does that even mean? Protect your peace. Y'all know that from socials, right? Protect your peace. A lot of times some people will draw a circle or make this list of all the things that they don't want in their life. I don't want this. I don't want to talk to this person. But imagine making a golden circle and putting the things that you believe is what you need. Don't focus on the negative. Don't focus on what you don't want. We're very good at that. That's why a lot of people have a challenge with religion. Don't. But what do you want to do? What do you believe God wants you to do? What is the do? What is the be, like we spoke about? Who do you want to be, Johnny? What is that be? Because when we become, then we know what we're supposed to do. When we imitate God, the higher power, then we know who to become, right? You're in the becoming. So, when we have peace that guards our heart and mind, it's like a shield that protects us from stress and anxiety of life. But how do we get this peace? The key is to bring everything to God in prayer. When we trust in him with our worries, our fears, and our needs, his peace fills our hearts. So living in peace does not mean that you're not going to have problems, you won't have drama, you won't have hurdles, right? But remember, all of these things, God's peace, he will help us to face them with confidence. Knowing that we're not alone is what's going to help us through these challenges. Of course, living in peace means being a peacemaker. Not saving the world, not being the mediator of your family all the time and being the one that only people, nope. But not adding to the fire. Not being the, did you know, did you see, did you what? Right? Being a peacemaker. We are called to bring peace to our relationships, our schools, our communities. That means standing against that gossip, being kind and showing love, even when it's hard. Let me repeat that part. Oof. Showing love, even when it's hard. Even when you've given that hand and somebody bites you and you're like, wow, after everything I've done, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? I always share my food with him and he didn't share his food with me. That was me in elementary. Do you think that's changed? That was my grade 2 issue. I give my chips to my friends and I ask for one, like, no, get your own. It doesn't change. It might be like, oh, they didn't want to sign on for that? I'll remember that. Be a peacemaker in all that we do. So here are the steps to cultivate peace. So like I said, years ago, I was mass depressive because I didn't even know that that was there. And based on what I was going through, I should have been acting out according to the teachers, according to the social workers, according to the counselor. I was supposed to be that at-risk youth. In a mental institution, I was told I should have been a criminal. I was team no sleep, like I said, talkative, and all these things. And I'm just in my 20s. But look, Ma, I made it. No jail for me, full-time student, 2 jobs, overworked. I was definitely addicted to the hustle, as I shared with you. So after I was diagnosed with general anxiety disorder, it was then that I learned I had a hard time being grounded and present, always in the future. And what happened? I always needed to be one step ahead. I need to make sure that no one took control of my life ever again. My life was an active game of ping pong. Like, I wouldn't even let it touch a table, like, pat, and that was game. And then it would be the pandemic. You never know when you're going to get that reality check of who's really in control, right? So I was always waiting for the ball to pop on my side and making sure that the only thing it touched was my paddle. Be prepared rather than be endangered. But these walls soon became a self-imposed prison. Have you ever experienced? I definitely know I have. The truth is that you cannot experience a fullness of joy without allowing yourself to be vulnerable to the present. Vulnerability is hard. If anyone has ever heard of the social worker, her name is Brene Brown. She's very well known. She's had many great books. And she became popular speaking about vulnerability. Nobody was talking about it. And I would hear it, I'd listen to the podcast, but then I really didn't know what it meant until my crises. Being exposed, feeling naked, feeling like, oh my goodness, I was feeling different. The truth is we cannot experience that without being naked. So I realized it was hard for me, and by placing my mind into the future, I somehow thought I can control or stop things before they happened, even though they never existed. And most of the things we fear never, ever happen. So it's all a trap to keep us from living the abundant life we are called to live. The abundant life that God is calling you to. So how do you cultivate peace? Set aside time to be present. Set aside time to reflect, to journal, to be grounded, to go on that train ride, to go near the riverside. I love watching the rapids. I don't like very, very calm water. I love the movement. The movement grounds me. This helps you focus on the present without the weight of unresolved issues. Next, slow down. Practice the pause. Remind yourself that anxious thoughts are not productive. Slow down, focus, and trust in God's control. Be present. Psalms 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Let's focus our energy on being still in his presence, where true peace is found. Prayer and surrender. Start your day with prayer, asking God to fill you with peace. Throughout the day, whenever you feel stressed or anxious, take a moment to pray and surrender those feelings to God. I saw a devotion this week, and I shared it with Tisha. Took a screenshot, and it says, imagine Jesus next to you. What would you share with him today? Man, I threw that phone. I don't even know what I would do. It just became this longer list than my regular prayer would have been, but I became so overwhelmed with just the thought that I can share with someone who I believe will not interrupt, just sit there and be there, right? Trust in God's plan. Remind yourself that God is in control. He has a plan for your life, even when things do not make sense. Check your temperature like we did before. Use the feeling wheels. And when you know you're feeling, when you do that feelings check, it helps us become more self-aware to manage our emotions, our feelings, even our day. This is crucial for finding peace. It prevents the negative emotions from escalating and promotes healthier decision-making. This practice also builds emotional resilience, enabling us in dealing with challenges. So, more than anything, remember to keep the word in your heart. And if it's not in your heart or your memory bank, just keep reading it. Keep being around people who is going to plant that seed and feed you. What I feel that helps me the most is the last step. Practice gratitude. Gratitude. Count that checklist, not the complaining list. And you want to do the complaining list, you want to do the hit list of all the things that are not working on in your life, go ahead. But make sure you go on another fresh page and put down all the things that are working out, all the beautiful things around you, down to the smallest thing, like it's raining. Not it's raining, right? You can have that on the list that you're upset about, but you know what? It's raining. I call it my car wash once it rains, right? Find something to be grateful about. So, as we wrap up, I encourage you to seek the peace that only God can provide. Life will have its ups and downs, but with God's peace, we can face anything with confidence. Let's remember to trust him, be present in the moment, and cultivate a heart of gratitude. So I am thankful for each and every one of you who are choosing to have unshakable peace. You haven't made that decision, you're bowing your head, right? I'm now brainwashing you, or is it you guys call it manifestation? I don't know. But how can we have unshakable peace, all jokes aside? Come on, bars. For those who didn't hear, you can't change your situation, but you can only change your reaction, how you perceive it, your mindset. And we call it priming our mind. Anybody ever paint? So the wall's red and you're like, oh, let me go paint it white? What happens when you put the white over the red? Not cute. It's a nice Barbie pink, right? So that's what we prime. We prime that not only the paint adheres, but it just kind of blocks at that color. So we want the word, we want the positivity to stick. You got to work that muscle. Because as I always say, that negative muscle, oh, it's easy to be negative, right? It's so easy to complain. It's a reflex, right? If I walk by here and hit my knee, I'll probably call myself a certain word, which is weird. But how many of us have looked in the mirror and be like, oh, I'm so beautiful, I'm so fly? Like, it's rare. We're always looking, oh my goodness, the crow's feet, oh my gosh, the gray hairs, what's happening to my chin? Always nitpicking at ourselves. Who's speaking life into you? For us to have that purpose and that peace, let us shape and prime our mind to receive God's word, which is, I have a plan for you. I got you. Be still and know that I am here, and just follow my way. Follow the path. Thank you.
All right, so thank you for that. I gotta say, a lot of things that you said really hit close to home, you know? But if there's like two things I'm gonna start doing from what you said, number one, that emotion wheel, you know, keeping that emotion in check, that's for sure. And number two, definitely a challenge is gonna be to like just stay in the present, you know, slow down when the world is already going so fast. So
Yes.
thank you once again for that.
Thank you.
And we will now be having an open mic where if any of you guys have questions for Rowan, now is the time to ask them, and we'll be coming up to you with a mic.
Questions, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
For that. So when you realized what the problem was, were you able to just shift completely, or was it like a gradual process?
It's still a gradual process. When I recognize a problem, the only way I can shift, and that's part of seeking God at all times, is knowing I have to do it every day. It's like going to the gym and being consistent. Because once I fall off and I start getting back in that habit, it's me again. So every day I'm seeking God in those 7F areas, right? And even if you don't do that, it's like, okay, help me with my family, my leisure, my time. Help me where I need to put my money. You know, do I invest? Do I do crypto? Like, really every day seeking God's face. So I use the ask, seek, knock principle and apply it to my life and connect it to those, but every day. You're welcome.
So as somebody who's a people pleaser, how do you deal with like wanting to do good and be good and help others without like burning yourself out with this people pleasing nature? Like how do you balance that out?
Well, that sounds like a poem. People pleasing nature. Yes. Oh, wow. Again, no balance, just having to set the hard boundaries and praying. Because sometimes even people pleasing could be like, hey, I'm missing $200 in my rent. Can you e-transfer me that? You might be enabling that person. And God's like, I didn't tell you to do that, right? That person is like, hey, can I have $5? And they need a meal? Let me buy you that meal. Because we don't know what that $5 you're going to use to do what? Is to buy a weapon. And this is what I'm saying, like, God's will be done. If I'm going to lean in on that, I need to be proactive and saying, Kate, I'll be like, say to a friend, give me a second, I'll call you back. Just give me a moment and pray about it. And ask for the divine wisdom, not the knowledge, because we all got knowledge from school and the media. Divine wisdom. God, give me that download of what you want me to do in this situation, and not being so reflexive, like, sure, let me co-sign on your car because you have bad credit. This is how we get burnt, right? And what I started learning to do was, it's one of my favorite quotes. Tisha knows this very well. I applied it in 2023, and I was like, your panic is not my emergency. And once I read that, I was like, it changed my life, because everybody's panic was there. It was my emergency, but my own emergencies was back burnered for years, to the point that when I looked, I'm like, all these things that I made take precedence. You know, I made it a priority. I could have had three master's degrees, because I'm always saving. And God never put that cape on me. He didn't say that was my purpose, to be a superhero and nonstop and not sleeping. Parents are calling me. I'm like, okay, call the lawyer. Now I've learned to refer and delegate and say, hey, Jason, can you deal with that? And Lincoln, can you take care of that? And match people up with different, you know. And once I did that, it just felt so freeing. So you're still doing the work, but you're not doing all the work. And you're doing it differently and effectively and in a holistic way, healthy.
Question. So on the issue of purpose, what do you say to someone like who feels that perhaps they felt, like myself. Let's say I feel like I've missed my purpose in life. What would you say for me to stop looking back and look forward? because I felt like I've missed my purpose. And I keep looking back, saying, I missed my purpose. I missed my purpose. So how do you now say, okay, well, how do I move on from feeling like I've missed my purpose to moving towards maybe a different purpose, but a more purposeful life then?
Mm-hmm. That's a very good question. I really feel that whether we tell ourselves or other people, I've heard people say, you missed your calling. You should have been in Hollywood. You should have been a comedian. I've heard I should have been an artist. I've heard it my whole life, right? But I didn't feel that conviction. First, you have to ask yourself, did you miss your purpose or you missed things on your checklist that you didn't get to do? Was it the purpose that God had over your life? And even if you felt that God called you to do something and you know that's a conviction, is it too late to do it? Right? And that's the thing. Sometimes I missed my purpose. Sometimes some things are a passion project. Some things are a hustle you can start later. But what is God's calling on your life? And did you truly miss that? That's the first question. And if you miss that bus, I don't feel like whatever God has for us, we might have gotten it late, but it's never too late to get on the purpose that God has for us. I truly believe that. Like, it may be different. Sometimes there's certain gifts and ideas that we didn't execute. He's like, well, I'm going to have to give it to the other planter because you weren't cultivating. You didn't want to be a farmer. But I think he can bring it right back to us in a different way, in a different season. Hope that answers your question.
Not a question, it's a comment. When you were discussing, things that we're not good at. I find even in the church, we do this. Oh, I wish I could sing like Sister So-and-so. I can't do nothing. You're giving the finger to God because you don't like the gifts he gave you. You've got to cultivate gratitude.
Yes.
Thank you for what you can do. And if you think you can't do nothing, that's another problem that has to be discussed always. Everyone can do something. Even if you pick up garbage and clean the church, someone has to do it.
That's right. That's right.
That's what you're good at.
Yeah.
Everything is needed. The things we tell ourselves, thinking about society, what should be, and like you said, that checklist,
Yes.
that really booby trap.
Mm-hmm.
It's the sin of coveting. When you want to be like someone else, you are actually coveting.
That's
You're
right.
not grateful for God who has made you who you are.
Yeah.
And when you start looking at it like that, things will change.
Yeah. You are totally right. The coveting, like, I remember that saying, that quote when we were younger, the adage of, like, the grass is not greener on the other side. And it's true. You don't know what it goes through and what they have to do because, and what they get, you get that thing on your checklist. I'm like, I got the house now. I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to deal with the landscape. I got to call a tree cutter, and the list just goes. I need to find my own plumber, and it's a heavyweight list, and that's just one thing that we might have acquired, like we mentioned. So coveting, definitely, I won't say know the lane we're in, but appreciate the season of life that we're in and the riches or the wealth that we can find in that time. Yeah.
All right, so thank you for your questions. Oh, there's one more question.
So about the whole situation of like peace. So let's say like in your mind you've accepted the situation. However, there's like a disconnect in the heart and you still feel like down about it. What would you recommend for that?
So I was hearing a little bit at the end. Mic kicked out. Can you say it again? When it comes to peace?
Like in your mind,
Yeah.
you accepted the situation. However, in your heart there's a disconnect. You still feel down about it. What would you recommend?
Oof. Yes, feeling down. I would say daily, it's really giving it up. 'Cause I love, first I'm going to, because it kind of comes in two ways for me, the disconnect. Are you disconnected or are you choosing not to be connected? And I say that because I was the queen of disconnect. That's why I didn't know that things were unresolved. I was like, I'm fine. Or do you just feel like you're disassociating from the situation? Is it natural for you? You're just like, I've accepted the situation, but I'm angry or I'm hurt. That's what you mean? Like you're grieving it, or is a loss, or you're upset? Okay. Definitely, it's every day reaching out to God for me, like really giving it up, speaking to somebody I trust that is not going to run with the information, that's not going to complain with me or be like, that's messed up, we need to go, let's go find them where they're at, right? But who's going to ground you and like, listen, and I mean, it's valid that you're feeling that. And I think that's what I had to learn about God, is not trying to erase these things and be perfect. Perfect doesn't mean that I don't have these feelings or the disappointments or all the stuff you saw in the blue part of the emotion wheel or the red part, the rage and anger. It is real. Why did God put those emotions in us? It's the action. While I'm feeling this hurt and I'm healing, can I still be kind to that person? Or am I gonna dodge him like, don't come to me, no, get out of here. Like, yo, right? Can I still show love and compassion and be caring and respectful to my boss who disrespected me last week? I'm trying to keep my eyebrow down. Right? Or the family member. So the grieving, it takes time to heal. It's not an overnight process. And I always think of what Paul speaks about, the thorn of my flesh, even though that was very different. It was maybe a disease or something on his face. I don't know what it was. But God's like, I'm not going to remove that you know that you need me at all times. And I was like, that's me, because I'm that reactive person. I'm like, let's go. What? Who you think you are? And God's like, nah, I want you to know that you are not in control. And so that thing stays, because sometimes you think you're healed, and I'm like, I'm good. And 6 years later, 10 years later, you're like, whoa, that thing never left me. That's why we need to stay connected to the lifeline. Because when you think you're that strong swimmer, every strong swimmer has their day surfing, and that wave hits them. And then they can drown, no matter how. I don't care if you're Michael Phelps, strong arm, strong swimmer, but we can all be taken out. And I think that's the lesson is, no matter what we're feeling or what we go through, what our experiences are, we need to lean into the real lifeline.
Thank you, everyone, once again, for your questions, and thank you, everyone, for answering them and for your message. So now we are ending towards the end of our seminar. So before that, I would like to properly introduce to you someone you've already seen. So Josh, very simple. He's an amazing person, an amazing musician, and I'd also like to add that he got married last weekend, so congratulations on that. So without further ado, Josh.
So many things happen. It's crazy. Yeah. They say sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. And right now I'm losing bad. I've stood on this stage night after night, reminding the broken it'll be alright. But right now I just can't. It's easy to sing, but there's nothing to bring me down. What will I say when I held to the flame like I am right now? I know you're able and I know you can. You say through the fire with your mighty hand. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. They say it only takes a little faith to move a mountain. Well, a good thing, a little faith is all I have right now. But God, when you choose to leave mountains unmovable, oh, give me the strength to be able to sing. It is well with my soul. I know you're able and I know you can. Say through the fire with your mighty hand. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. I know the I know you're able, and I know you can. I know you're able, and I know you can. Save through the fire with your mighty hand. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. I know the sorrow and I know the hurt. I will say the word if you say the word. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. Oh, my hope is you alone, yeah. It is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul.
So thank you, Josh. And I would just like to take a moment to welcome those who just arrived. So welcome. So this is officially the end of the program for tonight. I would like to thank everyone who is with us today and those who are with us in the live stream. So I would just like to invite you all to stay afterwards for light refreshment. And Stephanie also has a gift for you guys, so you can go see her after this. A little reminder that tomorrow at the same place, we will be having the second part of our program at 10:45 tomorrow morning. And for those in the live stream, it will be at 11 in the morning. So once again, thank you, and I hope to see you all tomorrow.